Today we're talking about the fifth Hermetic principle, the principle of rhythm.
Enter a world of enchantment, of enlightenment, Meg's magical mansion.
Come, whoever you are, to Meg's Magical Mansion, a virtual guest house for spiritual wayfarers, a place where the ordinary becomes magical, where wisdom is yours for the asking, and where your higher nature is just a wish away. Thanks for joining us here today at Meg's Magical Mansion. I'm Meg with my sleepy puppy, Miss Alice Poopers. And of course, as usual, we're joined by the most scrumptious of them all, Parfait.
Charmed, and welcome to episode 5 in our series, The 7 Great Hermetic Principles.
If you haven't seen our previous episodes in the series, please check them all out.
We started by introducing you to Hermes Trismegistus, the mythical and magical master of masters, who gave us these 7 great principles.
And we're drawing from the book, The Kabbalion. This innocent-looking little volume was written in 1908, and its authors are credited mysteriously as the 3 initiates.
And each week, we've been doing a deep dive into each of these 7 principles talked about in this book.
We talked about the principle of mentalism, which teaches us all is mind.
And then we moved on to the principle of correspondence. You know, as above, so is below, as below, so is above.
And in our 3rd episode, we tackled the principle of vibration. You know, where nothing rests and everything's always moving.
Yeah, just like me shopping designer sales or even going to the club. Oh, and yeah, that takes us to the next principle, the principle of polarity. That was when we talked about how opposites are really just extremes of one another. That was a fascinating one.
Yeah.
We talked about how truths and half-truths and paradoxes are really just total opposites of one another on the same scale. It really helped me to understand my ex in so many ways.
Please check out our episodes on all those principles.
And today it's onward to our 5th Hermetic principle, the principle of rhythm.
This principle illustrates how everything flows in and out, back and forth,
This pendulum swing manifests in everything.
and how far the pendulum swings in one direction is how far it's going to swing back in the opposite, because rhythm compensates.
The rhythm of life is what we're talking about. This endless pattern of birth, growth, decline, death. You know, luckily I'm still in the growth stage.
Oh, well, lucky for you.
You know, anyway, this cycle repeats over and over.
And this principle is very closely linked to the principle of polarity, so please make sure you check that episode out.
These 2 principles are linked because the rhythms of life occur between 2 opposite poles. I'm not quite sure how it all works out, but Meg's gonna explain it, right, Meg?
I'm going to try my best. And the Hermetic Masters can actually swing the pendulum of their emotions and their circumstances in their favor. And you know, Parfait, that is something I really would love to be able to do in my own personal life. I'm really focusing on that.
And it can be hard, especially when others around you are shedding such negative energies. Well, I think it's time we found out about this really cool and fascinating principle.
The 5th great Hermetic principle, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This principle shows us that everything there is not just in motion, but is in a measured motion, a to and fro motion, if you will. Think of things like pendulums and tides. This principle of rhythm is closely tied to the principle of polarity, which we discussed in our previous episode. Rhythm shows itself between the 2 poles established by the principle of polarity. Rhythm swings first towards one pole, then to the other. Rhythm is the back and forth, the push and pull of life. This principle shows itself in things as huge as the creation and destruction of stars, to the rise and fall of nations, to the life history of all things, and of course to our own mental states. Yes, spirit itself manifests this principle. The stars, bright burning suns in the sky, have a life cycle, a rhythm of birth, growth, decline, and death. So too, the great nations of earth see a birth, rise to greatness, decline, and eventual replacement with the birth of a new nation. The Roman Empire, the British Empire, the Soviet Union. We have seen this throughout history. And we are part of that cycle in the nations we currently live in, right here in 2025. You can see the swing of the pendulum play, and you can feel the power of nations as they ebb and flow. All living things are born, grow, decline, die, and are reborn. It's the great circle of life. I think some Disney lions taught us this a long time ago. We see this principle in the great philosophies, creeds, movements, and governments of the world. They all flow in the same cyclical rhythm. Even fashion, trends, fads flow with this principle. Think of what's the latest movement. Videos and other things that go viral follow this principle too. I mean, think about it. Your post goes up and it's born. And then the number of views and comments grow. It gets shared and spread around to more and more people. Everyone's talking about it. Then after a while, those views taper off, as most people don't need to constantly review the clip. Eventually, they stop talking about it, and then a new thing comes along, and everyone moves on to that, leaving your clip essentially dead. The swing of the pendulum is always evident in everything, everywhere, all the time. Day turns to night, night turns to day, the seasons turn around and around each year, all the tiny atoms and molecules are spinning around. There is no such thing as complete rest or cessation of movement. As Principle 2 taught us, as above, so below, this principle of rhythm is universal. You can apply it to any question, mystery, or phenomena on any plane of life. It applies to you and all the phases of your life. There's always a constant push and pull, back and forth as we swing from one pole to the other. The universe is constantly in motion with this ebb and flow, a universal pendulum. Humans have been aware of this principle for ages. We would have never developed the clock or many other inventions if we didn't grasp this principle, at least at a practical level. Hermeticists carry this issue and idea much further. They understand that its manifestations and influence have a wide reach into the minds of humans. It can account for the wide range of emotions we feel and how quickly we can swing from one extreme to the other. I hate you so bad when we're fighting, but making up is just the opposite. I never loved you so much. They do say make-up sex is the best. Hermetic masters can escape some of the effects of life's natural rhythms through transmutation. They discovered that while rhythm is inevitable and invariable, it occurs on two different planes of manifestation, at least as far as physical manifestations are concerned. There are two planes of consciousness, a lower and a higher. By understanding this, Hermetic masters can raise up to the higher plane and avoid the swing of the pendulum on the lower plane. This is known as the law of naturalization. By raising the ego above the vibrations of the unconscious plane, the negative swing of the pendulum doesn't manifest in consciousness, and we can be left unaffected. Just rise above it and let it pass beneath you. By refusing to participate in the negative swing of the pendulum and standing firm in the polarized position of your choosing, the negative swing of the pendulum can just swing right past you. No worries. People say, carry your own weather, maintain your pink bubble of happiness, and that's the general idea. But great masters take this to a whole other level and are able to maintain composure, poise, and a remarkable degree of mental firmness regardless of the circumstances around them. We can all feel like a moody, emotional train wrecks at any given time. It's sad but true that most people don't even think about their moods or how it affects others and just spew their drama all over. But we have all ridden the emotional roller coaster of pendulum swings, pumped up and optimistic, only to feel the downward swing of depression and pessimism. Understanding that the pendulum will swing back and forth gives us the knowledge we need to see the cycles occurring and makes us better able to ride out those swings successfully. The back and forth of life's rhythms will exist for eternity, but will is stronger than the conscious manifestations of this principle. And that means that we can escape some of the negative effects, but the pendulum will swing on regardless. The principle of rhythm operates using the law of compensation. To compensate in this situation means to counterbalance. This is the law that explains the measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. The physical plane shows this law in many ways, from the swinging of the pendulum on a clock to the changing of the tides and the turning of the seasons. But Hermeticists believe this law also applies to your mental states. The person who enjoys intensely also suffers intensely. The one who loves with great passion can hate with equal intensity. The capacity for pain and pleasure are balanced in each of us. Some of us feel the need for intense highs followed by complete lows, while other people are subject to lesser swings of their emotional pendulum. They are able to stay in a more balanced state of emotional equilibrium. These very intense pendulum swings can sometimes be so large that they cover multiple lifetimes. Hermeticists believe in reincarnation, that the chain of lives is continuous, so you may be compensating in this lifetime for a pendulum swing from a past life. By the process of naturalization, great masters can rise above to the higher plane of the ego and avoid much of the pain experienced on those lower planes. So, the law of compensation is critical to all of us. It ties right back to the idea of karma. That you have to sometimes pay the price or reap the reward. If you have one thing, you lack another, and the balance is struck. Every stormy cloud has its silver lining, and every silver lining must have its stormy cloud. The things you gain are paid for by the things you lose. And so while the rich have many things that poor people can't even imagine owning, poor people possess things rich people never can. For example, a rich person, being spoiled by having any food they want, may not appreciate the flavor of food as much as the poor person who delights in the simple tastes of good home cooking. The law of compensation is always working to balance and counterbalance, even if it takes multiple lives to complete the pendulum swings. Rhythm compensates, and the pendulum swing manifests in everything.
Wow, we really do see these patterns and rhythms everywhere we go, yet we don't often stop and think about the importance of them.
The idea of being able to have more control over the swing of my mental states is very appealing to me. It's how great masters stay so calm and unflappable no matter what's going on around them.
And well, when you're able to better control your emotions and your mental states, you can make better decisions and have a much clearer head, which probably means that you'll make better choices for yourself and others around you.
Proactive and reactive are opposite poles on the same scale for sure. And if we can avoid swinging in a reactive direction, it's probably going to be better for everyone.
For sure, because we all know the effects a negative reaction can bring.
Which leads us to next week's episode, the sixth Hermetic Principle, the principle of cause and effect.
I've had some run-ins with this principle.
I think we all have. But wouldn't it be nice to understand the principle of cause and effect better and have control over some of the effects that we're seeing in our lives?
Well, because the causes that we put into action are causing the causes that give us the good effects. Oh my gosh, hold on, I think. You know, I think it's better you just check back with us next week, and Meg will help kind of explain and fill us all in on this really cool principle.
All right, till then, and remember, in the words of Buddha, 1,000 candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Thank you for sharing your time and attention with us here today at Meg's Magical Mansion. Till next time.
Toodles.
Toodles.